श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं वातरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुकारो अन्धकारो वैरुकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः सुष्ठुवांसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ प्रज्ञानां शुप्रदानै स्थिरजरनिकरव्याप्तिभिर्व्याप्य लोकान् भुक्त्वा भोगान् स्तविष्ठान् पुनरभिदिशणोद्भासितान् कामजन्यान् पीत्वा सर्वान् विशेषान् सुविधि मधुरभुङ् मायया भोजयन्नः माया संज्ञास्तुरीयं परममृतमजं ब्रह्म यत्तन्नतोऽस्मि। यो विश्वात्मा विदिज विषयान् प्राश्य भोगान् स्तविष्ठान् पश्चाच्चान्यान् स्वमिति विभवान् ज्योतिषा स्वेन सूक्ष्मान् सर्वानेतान् पुनरभिशनैः स्वात्मनि स्थापयित्वा सर्वान् विशेषान् विगतगुणगणः पात्वसौ नस्तुरीयः। It was very good that we can display the mantras in the screen, those who want to chant along with me and who don't have the text of Māṇḍūkya, in order to introduce how the Sanskrit mantras are to be chanted, and all are very, 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 very powerful mantras. We know that, whatever we are chanting. Okay, we are in the 23rd verse, which is in the half of the way. We will look into it and we will complete that, and we will go to the 24th. And I want to introduce, as though we are beginners, like we are studying Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad. We are in the 3rd prakarana, and the 3rd prakarana is Advaita Prakarana, which will be dealing with logic. I mean, logically understanding the Vedanta is a fact and it's real. Most of the religious books don't go with the logic. They say, believe it. For example, when it is written, there is heaven. Where is heaven? How can I believe there is heaven? Believe it. But Vedanta, the scriptures, the studies about one's own real fact is not a falsified theory. It is something real, and we will prove with the logic, or we can make understand the human brain that it is true. That is what Advaitakyam Prakaranam do. We will read the words what we are dealing with, and I am taking my simple English. There will be some grammatical correction which I don't bother about that. I am focusing about the technical words of Vedanta. Sometimes it will fit by grammar, sometimes it will not fit. I will go along with that. Okay. Bhutato abhutato vapi srijyamane samashruti nishchitam yukti yuktam cha yattad bhavati netarat. Bhutato abhutato vapi srijyamane samashruti nishchitam yukti yuktam cha yattad bhavati netarat. In the Shruti, there are two types of sentences. Those sentences which confirm that creation came from a real entity and the creation is real. There are other set of sentences which talk the creation came out of a non-existing entity and the creation is also Maya, illusion, just an illusion, like a movie appearing in the widescreen. Bhutataha, creation is real and it came from a real entity. Abhutataha, creation is unreal and it came from a non-existing entity. And both type of sentences are being quoted in the same scriptures called Upanishad or Vedanta or last portion of Vedas. Shruti listed two sets of sentences in the Upanishadic portion. Vapi srijyamane samashruti. And Shruti consider both are real and it can be understood by the disciples who are studying the Upanishad. Because of the capacity of the Guru, they can understand properly. Nishchitam. Nishchitam means it is ascertained by only logic which sentences are correct, which sentences are to be understood as a formality. That means you need not to take in a real sense, it should be considered as a secondary sense. That's called formality. Nishchitam yukti yuktam cha yad tad bhavati na itarad. That only should be taken as real and it should be in the primary sense. All other set of sentences should be taken as secondary sense, which is only in a formal way. When I say formal way, you need to understand what I meant by formal way. So the whole meaning is like this. Again, I will repeat. There are two sets of sentences in the Upanishadic portion. One set of sentences tells that the creation is real and it came from a proper entity, a real entity. There are other set of sentences which talks about the creation. The creation is unreal, it's only an illusion, and it came from a non-existing entity. And there are Acharya, Shankaracharya quoted this type of sentences from the Upanishad, how Gaudapada Acharya presented this verse to justify that. And the second sentence of the verse says that even though two sets of sentences are presented in the Shruti, one set is primary in the primary sense, and the other set should be taken as in the secondary sense. It's in a formal way. It is not true. What is meant by formal way? When you saw a person and he is very much clear in his way of life, we say him, he is just like a lion, living just like a lion. Means he do his routine properly, he deal with the people properly, he talk properly, he don't involve in lot of activities which he cannot complete, and he has his own way. Then we say that he's just living like a lion. This is what formal way. He's not a lion at all. He's just like a lion. This person is like a lion. This is called formal way. A person is living a proper life and we just impose a character of a lion on him. This is the way of formal or secondary sense of on a personality we impose that. Similarly, Srishti is presented in either way. It is real and it is unreal. And Gaudapada Acharya, the author of this kārikā, says that please apply logic and find out which is true and find out which is not true, which is only to be taken as formal. Nishchidam yukti yuktam. Please apply the logic and understand properly those sentences. And yattat bhavati na itarad, which is real, which is taken in the primary sense, and which other is not in the primary sense. May you understand that. This is the meaning of the words. We are in the half of the way, and we will see what we can do with that. When we apply the logic, we will see that Srishti is an illusion. Srishti is not real. So those set of sentences which are talking about Srishti is real are to be taken in a secondary sense. Because Srishti is not real. Srishti seems to be real, but it is not real. It appears as though real, but it is not real. It is just like the movie appearing in a white screen. The essence, the content, the background is real. The white screen is real. So too, the content of all the creation is real, but not any name and form should be taken as real. All names and forms are just an illusion. Seems to be there, but it is not there. Even the sun, what we see in this world, is a sun which was in the past. 8 minutes, the rays will take time to reach our eyes. The sun rays will travel this much lakhs of kilometers and it will reach our human eye, and we see a sun which was there before 8 minutes. When I look at the sun, it is not there at all. Can you imagine? People don't have idea, correct? Even though we see a sun in the sky, that sun was there before 8 minutes. Now the sun changed. When I look up the sky and see the sun, that sun is not the sun which is appearing right now. Similarly, when I look at the body, it is changing consistently. Continuously, it is changing without staying back. That's why I am getting aged. When I say something is there in the world, it's already changed. And everything comes and goes. And already Gaudapada quoted that Adau Andeja Yennasti, what is there, what is not there in the beginning and what is not going to be existing after a period of time, Vartamane Abhi Tad Tada. In the present also, present condition also, we should not take in the same sense it is existing. So, Srishti is not real. When we apply the logic, Srishti is not real. These sentences are taken in the primary sense. At the same time, half of the part from that sentence that it came from a non-existing entity, that is also should not be real. Nothing will come from a non-existing entity. An emptiness cannot produce or provide anything in the world. There is an entity which is free from names and forms. Nama Rupa Rahitam Brahman. Aparoksham Brahman. This is the creator of entire creation or base of entire creation. Where there is names and where there is no name and form, like what we have a form, what we have a name, a male or a female, or what is there in the background like an elephant whisperer who spent time in Africa to help all the elephants, Lawrence Anthony. It's a name and it's a form. An elephant is also a name and a form. What I want to say, Shrishti came from an existing entity and it's only a superimposition and it is proved by logic, which is not there at all. It's an illusion. When you see, it seems to be there existing. When you put an inquiry, it never existed at any point of time. So, Srishti should be taken as in the secondary sense. Srishti is an illusion, should be taken as in the primary sense. Non-existing entity should be taken as in the secondary sense because Asadeva idamagra asid. This sentence can only have a sense that from an unmanifested form, all the names and forms came. Like in the seed, there is a constitution of a tree inside that. When the seed get a conducive situation, that will appear in the form of a sprout. Then from the sprout, it will become plant. From the plant, it will become a small tree, then a big tree, and fruits, leaves, stem, branches, etc., etc., etc. But before everything, it was in the unmanifested condition, which was there in the unmanifested condition. The tree was not appearing. Tree was not there. Tree was just inside the seed, which is not appearing to our human eyes. The same manner, all the names and forms like you and me as in the body, in the form of body, was not there outside. And it is not seen as though what we see now. So everything was in the unmanifested form. And asadeva idamagra asid should be understood as not as non-existing entity. It should be understood as unmanifested form of all entities, all names and forms. So when I say everything came from a non-existing entity, should be taken as a secondary sense. Yes. This Brahman is not perceived by any sense. That's why it's called aparoksham Brahma. But it is self-evident, sasamvedyam. It is available. It's not available for the senses, but it is evident to me. If somebody asks to me, are you existing? Yes. Without applying any senses, I can say to them, I am existing. How do you know? I am existing. Because I am self-evident. I don't need anybody's help. I don't want to apply my eyes. I don't want to apply my nose. I don't want to apply my anything to understand my existence. Self-evident. And also I am eternal. In spite of all changes occurring on my body, the base of the body is eternal. That's why all changes are marked and understood. So, when I say asadeva idamagra asid, all the unmanifested from everything came from the unmanifested form means it should be taken as in the secondary sense. It is not that unmanifested means empty. Unmanifested should be in the sense of seed and sprout. The final stage, the final understanding is that everything came from a one single entity which is existing. The base is always existing. Without a base, there is no superimposition. So, one single entity is the base for all the names and forms which we call creation. So that is should be taken in the primary sense. I already mentioned you in the last class about one single entity. How can we prove? Now we will conclude the entire section by reading the Bhashya sentences. Bhutataha paramartataha srijyamane vastuni abhutataha mayaya va mayavina eva srijyamane vastuni sama tulya srishti shrutihi. Both type of sentences are presented in the last portion of Vedas. Which both type of sentences? One set of sentences are Paramartataha, an entity which is real and existing is the source for all creation. Srijyamane Vastuni. Then again, another set of sentences. Abhutataha Mayayava Mayavinava Mayavinayeva. Through illusion, it came from Srijyamane Vastuni. And it also can be understood as a non-existing entity provided certain creation called an illusion. Sama tulya srishti shrutihi. Shruti presents both type of sentences. One should understand one set of sentences are in the primary sense, one set of sentences are in the secondary sense. ನಾನು ಗೌಣ ಮುಖ್ಯಯೋಹೋ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಶಬ್ದಾರ್ಥಂ ಪ್ರತಿಪತ್ತಿ ಯುಕ್ತ. And these two sets of sentences, among these two sets of sentences, one is in the primary sense, mukhyam, other is in the secondary sense, gaunam. Mukhya shabdartha pratibhakti yukta. And the primary sense should be taken as real, or it can be proved logically. Not the gauna sentences. They are secondary sense. Like, he lives like a lion. It doesn't mean that he eat meat and he roam inside the forest. No. We need to apply a logic that he live a proper life. He don't ask anything, help from any others, and he find out his own way of it through work, and he live a proper life. That is called secondary sense. Even though he is not a lion, he can live alone, and he can find out his way of how he can find out his own bread, daily bread for his life. So this is called secondary sense. So here also in the Upanishad, those sentences talking about Srishti is real should be taken as secondary sense. Srishti is not real should be taken as primary sense. Why Srishti is real should be taken as secondary sense? We can apply a logic that in the creation, I eat food and I feel I am full. My hunger has gone. There are some purpose in the things which appear in front of me, and it helps me, and it is seen by my eyes or it is enjoyed by my senses, and I can feel their presence. Some helping is there, some service is there by them to my life. This will not help me to assimilate that Srishti is real. Purpose of serving does not create any reality of the sentences. A pot can be used to drink water. That doesn't mean that pot is existing. Purpose of serving will not justify that it is real. Purpose of serving is there throughout the creation. It doesn't mean that creation is real. Because I can enjoy some happiness, it doesn't mean that the Srishti is real. Whatever you enjoy, it is due to illusion. Whatever it comes in the form of unhappiness, it is also due to illusion. So, you should not take it as real. Now, Mukhya Shabdartha Pratipattihi Yukta. The primary sense which the sentence which are in the primary sense should be taken as logical. Anyata srishtehe aprasiddhatvad nishprayojanavatvad cha avocha. Those sentences which are talking in the secondary sense don't have any purpose in Vedanta or in our daily life. I already mentioned you, Suppose if you understand my birth is real and I was having a birth before this birth. After knowing this, can you change your birth, previous birth? No. There is no alteration we can do in the previous birth. Or if I understood that there is a birth after this birth, yes, there is a future birth. After knowing this, can you alter the future birth? No. The purpose is not served. There is no purpose of understanding that all the sentences regarding creation can help me. There is no purpose of knowing that, and it will not help also. It is not having any use by understanding that in my life. Nishprayojanatvat cha. Useless. There is no purpose. Appasidvat cha. It will not work after knowing Shruti is real. If the Shruti is real, entire Vedanta will become useless. Shruti is just an illusion. Shruti seems to be there, but it is not there. Srishti seems to be there, it is not there at all when we study Vedanta. And it is proved by logic. It's not that you just study Vedanta and you accept Srishti is not there. My boyfriend is not there. My girlfriend is not there. My dog is not there. My house is not there. Everything only pure consciousness. It is written in the book, so I just follow without having any kind of questioning. It will not work. You need to question. How there is no anything in the world, even my body is not there at all. You should have a question. A brilliant person will ask for a change and total clarity. How you say that there is no other thing other than Brahman? Ekameva Advitiyam Brahma. How I can understand logically? We have proven a lot of time. There is only one entity and that entity is appearing in different names and forms. Okay? And avidya srishti vishaya eva sarvaha gauni mukhya cha srishtihi na paramartada. Not knowing the reality, avidya, and misunderstanding all these things. This is the entire creation can be accounted in these two facts. Due to not knowing, due to misunderstanding, all these names and forms seems to be existing. Avidya srishti vishaya eva sarve. All these things seems to be appearing due to not knowing the reality and misunderstanding. Sarva gauni mukhya cha srishtihi na paramartada. Sarva gauni, all are in the secondary sense, not in the mukhya sense or in the primary sense. Na paramartada. In real, there is no srishti. Srishti appears to be real. The creation appears to be real. A female-male attraction seems to be real, but you understand there is no male-female gender relationship. You will lose all kinds of attraction. If you don't lose, you have to work a lot. Any attraction will make you to come again and suffer here. Any attraction. As long as this body stay in this world, your prarabdha, some people will come and some people will go. Some other worldly enjoyments, everything will come. The point is, all the attraction which seems to be there are mere illusion. I have an attraction towards this phone. There is a phone here. When it's not appearing, correct? There is a phone in my hand. Yes. I have an attraction towards this mobile. This attraction is not there for anybody in the world, or somebody don't have any attraction because they have more expensive phone in their hand. They don't have any attraction. In real, this phone doesn't have attraction. It's my pressure to have an attraction towards that. Any object in the world possesses attraction. It is my pressure that I get attracted with some things in the world. This is what is told here. People are not having the capacity to attract me. It is my fault. It is my pressure that I get attracted on them. And some things will get tuned when you talk with somebody. Some things will not get in tune. The point is, nothing in the world have any attraction. From the standpoint of ultimate Brahman, everything is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. When there is only Brahman, everything have same way of attraction. But in names and forms, from the standpoint of names and forms, some things are attractive for me, some things are not very attractive for me. But from the ultimate standpoint of Brahman, everything is Ishvara, so that I am also Ishvara. I don't feel any attraction, or I feel everything is one and the same. What I want to say, everything is to be taken as unreal when we see all these things in the world. Sabhahyabhyantaro hi ajaha iti shrute. This sentence is quoted in Ishavasya Upanishad, in Kathopanishad also. What is inside the body, what is outside the body, what is inside this cosmic world, what is outside the cosmic world, all are one and the same eternal birthless Brahma. Whether you see star, solar system, sun, moon, our body, elephant, everything, they don't exist at any point of time. There is only one thing, sa bahya abhyantaro hi ajaha. Ajam, birthless. Bahya abhyantaram. Inside and outside only birthless Brahman exists. Tasmad Shrutya Nishchitam Yad Ekameva Advitiyam. Shruti presents a sentence called Ekameva Advitiyam. Ajam Amritam Idi. Ekameva Advitiyam Ajam Amritam. These words are being uttered or given by the Shruti, and it is being taught by Lord Guru, who is a teacher. Of course, the teacher is your Lord. Traditional teachers are the real lords. So they teach you Ekameva Advitiyam Ajam Amritam. Ekam, only one. Eva, indeed. Indeed, only one. Advitiyam, without any second. This is the entire meaning. This meaning has lot of wide measure and in understanding. How they will propagate. When there is no birth means Amritam, Ajam. There is no death, there is no birth. For this Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, Yadu Egameva Advitiyam. only one and only thing which is without a second, have only Ajam and Amrita. This birthless, this immortal Brahman is one without a second, only exists in the world indeed. When this sentence is told, it should be understood as by logic. You cannot solve the sentence. Then you will lose the taste to listen Vedanta. If everything you believe what Guruji says without understanding, you will lose the taste of Vedanta. That is why Yukti Yuktam. We will analyze this sentence. Ekameva Advitiyam Ajam Amritam iti. How we can apply logic. When it is told Ekam, Ekam means what? Ekam means there is only one. Yes, the entire creation is being conducted by one creator. I already mentioned you, if there were two creators, the rules cannot be applied in one single creation. I already given a lot of explanation regarding that. Eva, no other entity have the same capacity other than Brahman. So you will ask, what are these names and forms called Krishna, Rudra, Maheshwara, Vishnu, Saraswati, Mookampika? All these lords and lords, what they are. In real, Brahman has taken different names and forms in order to control the creation when we get astride through the devil and in human nature. Those unreal people, those who don't believe in the truth, they just scatter this creation. Then the entire this mass consciousness will take a avatar, an incarnation. This incarnation will clear every devil issues and unwanted spirits in the creation. Then they put everything together. This is done by the Brahman itself taking a new form. So every era we will get a new form to get devoted. That's why we have Krishna, Rama, or Shiva, Mahabali, everything. Without having all these names and forms in the form of the Brahman being in the form of all these names and forms, without them, the creation cannot be controlled. The creation is not very easy to control. When I say control means the unwanted personalities, what we call devils, will make a lot of issues for a person who don't go against moral values. Sadagaha, one who has discipline, they will be tortured by these devil entities. Then the Brahman will take an incarnation in different eras. These incarnations are being their Lord and it became the object of devotion. Like devotion, Krishna, Rama, Govinda, Saraswati, everything. Thus, we have to accept that creation is just one. All other things are appearing according to the wish and according to the will of the creator, and it will get a name and it will become the subject for object for devotion. That is why we have Rudra, Krishna, Shiva, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Krishna, everything. So please take away all kinds of illusion regarding Hindus are devoted to different entities. You go to the West Bengal in India, they were believers of Kali. If you go to Badrinath, there you will see all the people are believing in Lord Krishna. If you go to Nand Prayag, you will see those people are devoted to Ganga. If you go to Kedarnath in India, those people are devoted to Lord Shiva. This means that entire country will get devoted in different deities. That doesn't mean that everything is true. Everything becomes true when they are understood in the Samanvaya sense. All are incarnation of Brahman, nothing but just Brahman. This is called logic. And I already mentioned you in the last class, without having one single entity who is taking the control of the entire Jagat, if two kings control this entire Jagat, everything will be in different application. You have to go through the last class, which I have given elaborated mention. So it can be proved by the logic that there is only one God, and that God is not sitting in the heaven. That God is in the form of different things in the world. Yadi ekameva adhyudiyam ajam amritam iti. Out of maturity, I will also come to know that there is no death and there is no birth. Out of maturity, no other way. When we don't have the maturity, we will be always worried about our death. When we have the maturity that we will find out that section of talking about the death, and you will come to know the secret of the death. As long as my body continues in the world, I seems to be living. As long as my body wants to depart, it is called temporary depart. It seems to be I want to quit the job. Still there is something to pay by the company. That is what understanding the reality. Sruti yukti yuktam cha yadi ekameva advitiyam acham amritam iti yukti yuktam cha. So, reality is to be understood by applying the logic. If you apply the logic, you will come to know that there is only one person who is in the form of creator. There is only one entity behind the creation. The creation, in the creation, that entity became all the names and forms. And that names and forms are in illusion. Everything is proved by logic. Yuktya cha sampannam tadeva iti avochama purvagrantaihi. Purvagrantaihi. By the previous section of Māṇḍūkya kārikā, we already told you Yuktya cha sampannam. All the sentences presented by the Māṇḍūkya Upaniṣad and the kārikā can be proved logically. Even Lord Krishna giving all the advice in Bhagavad Gita, he told Arjuna, you need not to follow the entire sentences what I told. If you don't understand, you don't go believing me. I have given all the secrets of the creation, creator, what is the connection between the creation, created, what are the remedies, what are the problems, everything I mentioned you. Iti guhya tamam shastram, which is very secret for everybody. Vimarsha etat asheshena yada ichasi tada kuru. Whatever I have given you in the battlefield, you need not to solo. You just assimilate that. If you understood properly, it is all okay. Then you assimilate that and you ask a question, vimarsha, criticizing or asking the question about what I told, and you assimilate it properly by applying the logic. Yada ichasi tada kuru. Whatever you like, you can do. It doesn't mean that Lord Krishna gave you advice, so I will follow that advice. Even the Krishna has given the freedom to apply the logic for the person without soloing the sentences because it's an advice. We should also give some time for the people. When you give the advice, you tell them what you have to tell. If you feel everything is okay, what I told you, follow. If not, it's not a problem. As a friend, I mentioned you what is right and wrong. If you don't feel it, you need not to follow. Yuktya cha sampannam tadeva idi avoch. We already mentioned you. Everything has a background of yukti. Tadeva shutyartaha bhavati. What is being proved by the logic, which is true, that should be followed by us. Even though two set of sentences are given in the Shruti, na idaradu kadajidabi. Don't follow that type of those set of sentences which are told in the Shruti. That we don't follow those set of sentences which are talking about creation is true. This creation is not true. This creation is an illusion. And we don't follow the sentences that this creation came from a non-existing entity, which is also not true. Because this creation came from an existing entity. Any superimposition can happen when there is an object which is evident to me, which is right in front of me. Because this creation can only come from an existing entity, not a non-existing entity. All these sentences are to be taken in the primary sense that Shruti is not true, should be taken in the primary sense. Shruti is true should be taken as in the secondary sense. Shruti came from an existing entity should be taken as in the primary sense. Shruti came from a non-existing entity should be taken as in the secondary sense, and understand that non-existing means here in this sense is unmanifested. The contextual meaning is from an unmanifested form of Brahman. When all names and forms are there inside the Brahman, it is unmanifested. It came outside and it became manifested. That is why Sadeva Saumya Idamagra Asid Ekameva Dvidiya, Asadeva Saumya Idamagra Asid Ekameva Dvidiya. Both sentences, even though it is there in the scriptures, one sentence is proper and it should be taken as in the primary sense. Sadeva Saumya Idamagra Asid. There is only one single entity called Sat, which is existence here in the world. Ekameva Adyudiyam. It is Ekam, it is one. Eva, it is indeed one. Adyudiyam, not the secondary thing. It cannot be having any type of branches or any parts. So, please go through this verse one or two times again and again the recordings, then understand properly. Seems to be very confusing, very complicated, very much annoying again and again when you see the sentences. But if you understand the class one or two or three times, continuously listening, and if there is any question, please post on the group and I will give you the answer. One of the major verses in this prakarana. We will go to the next verse in the next class. Om Swasti Prajabhya Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahisha Gobrahmanebhya Shupamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ।